you did announce it when you were 9 weeks, and God forbid you do that.
I know. How dare I?
Go get your drink. You can get your drink.
Have a drink.
Isn't it funny though? Because we, honestly, 1 in 4 miscarry. Mm-hmm. So many women that I've had on the couch miscarry. I had one in between Bax and Arlo, and actually it was Tara Moss we had on the couch who said that there's such a stigma around waiting until that 12 weeks. You've got to do it because if you, the reason people don't share is if you miscarry. Yep. So many of us do. Yep. And was that the decision for you to go that you're going to share no matter what?
Yeah, I looked at it from the most realistic approach that I could, and that was that I would share having a miscarriage on my Young Mummy blog anyway. I've always been so honest with things like that, and I think, you know, I wouldn't think twice about that. Yeah. I would, you know, I'd obviously be really struggling and be really hurt, but I couldn't hide that from my followers. You know, I post so much a day, and I wouldn't want to either. I think that would contradict everything I've ever done if I hid that from them. So I brought it up to Jared and I brought it up to my mum, and it was actually my sister who said, you should just do it early. And so I spoke to a few people and they were like, yeah, do it. Yeah. And then I started doing research into it for my article that I wrote, and just how common it is. And but then some of the comments that, you know, I'd get back were, oh, you silly girl, now you have to explain to someone if something goes wrong. And I thought, well, why are you silly? You're not silly if you've had a miscarriage. Yeah, yeah. You know, why should you be made to feel silly? Like, why should you be made to feel embarrassed if that happens to you? Yeah. It's so, like you said, it happens 1 in 4 women. So why should we be embarrassed to, you know, it's personal preference if you want to share that kind of information with someone. But what I wrote in my article was it doesn't sit well with me when women are made to feel like they should be embarrassed about that. Like, oh, you shouldn't tell anybody that.
Because it's often when you share news like that, it makes people feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of, and I'm absolutely each to their own, but it's kind of like the more that we, you know, absolutely fine if you don't want to, but the more that it's like we share about those things, the more people learn how to handle it as well.
It's like women aren't allowed to talk about periods, they're not allowed to talk about boobs, and they're not allowed to talk about miscarriages. Yeah. It's like they're so common, they're everyday things that happen, and although they're probably, you know, it's an appropriate time to talk about everything, I don't like that, you're made to feel like it's a really no-go zone.
Yeah, it was quite amazing, the stir that got.
And I knew it would, and I was a bit tentative to do it, and you know, I spoke to a girlfriend that had had quite a few miscarriages, and she said, no, please do it. It'll be really good for all the women out there. And the amount of ladies that have wrote to me and said, I announce my pregnancy now because I don't care. Yeah, beautiful. You know, I shouldn't have to justify it, you know, if something goes wrong. And also on the other hand, when I was doing my research, a miscarriage, you can miscarry technically up to 19 and a half weeks. Right. If you lose your baby at 20 weeks, it's classified as stillborn, and you deliver your baby. But if it's 19 weeks and a half, it's still a miscarriage. Really? And I think I can miscarry at 15 weeks, I can miscarry at 18 weeks. Yeah. You know, it's not like I cross that 12 weeks, I'm safe, I'm done, this baby's healthy. We don't know that. Anything can happen, and I just think that obviously it's doctors' recommendations, but I think, you know, that worry as a mum, you know, that never ever goes away, even when they're here on earth. So I just, you know, I just wanted to break that taboo a little bit.
Yeah, and good on you. Yeah. And the fact that women, you know, the fact that it even created conversation around it is a good thing.
And, you know, I think 90% of the conversation's been positive, which is what I wanted.